Welcome back to another episode. This is a special episode of the S.E.M podcast. You know, we do these occasionally where we reach out with news, information, invitations, and this is kind of all of the above. We're coming up on the season of the year where we think about gratitude and the birth of the Savior and experiences that we've had in life. And I think about this time of year, you know, with conference, we have our big reunions in April. And for a few years, we were able to have special reunion with President and Sister Vriens at their house in October. And that's kind of why we're reaching out today, is we've gotten some update on the Vrienses and how they're doing. And we wanted to share that with you all, as well as use this as an opportunity for everyone to kind of reconnect. So I'll start out with the update we have about the Vrienses. This came from their daughter, Angie, who we've been able to be in touch with. And I'm just going to read you directly what she said about what's going on with her parents. She said, "So kind of you to reach out. Dad broke his back in January and spent some time in the hospital. In June, X-rays showed it hadn't fully healed, but it was as good as it was going to get. He has had some pain off and on, but has been doing well. He had some falls this summer, and in August he fell again and broke his hip. They did a partial hip replacement and spent about 5 days in the hospital and then a week and a half in rehab. He did really well with PT, but the dementia was really bad because he didn't know where he was. Ironically, most of the time he was in the hospital, and the whole time he was in rehab, he thought he was in Scotland. I think it was a place he felt comfortable and safe, so that's where his brain went. A couple of weeks ago, he had some pretty significant declines, so we put him on hospice. The last few days, he's been doing really well, but that's typical because he's getting more specialized and frequent care. Going forward, he'll have some really good days and then some really crappy days. We're just going to keep him comfortable. It could be 6 months or it could be a year. It's up to him. His hospice care team is incredible, and he's been very well looked after. He doesn't remember much, mostly things from the distant past and not much from Scotland, but like I said before, his mind retreated there because it was safe. I know before he couldn't remember much, he had such fond memories of Scotland, especially the missionaries. He talked about all of you all the time. Mom's mind has declined pretty significantly in the last 6 months or so. She still remembers Scotland and several of the missionaries, but she's easily confused when it comes to day-to-day life. It's really hard and strange to see two people who were so strong and steady become something so different, but thank goodness for our memories. Please feel free to share with anyone you think would want to know." And she also says, "Please know how grateful we are for all of you and the role you all had in making Mom and Dad such beloved and amazing people." So that's the update from the Vriens family about how President and Sister Vriens are doing. And I mean, we know when we were with them, they were on in years, and now it's been about 20 years since we were all there together. So it's a tender time in life that we have here. And Zach and I wanted to use this platform that we have, the connections that we have with all of you, to let you know what's going on with them. President and Sister Vriens are somebody that we love dearly, and so that's the update on how things are going there.
Yeah, Jack, I really appreciate you reading that, and I'll give a quick shout out to Blake Farnsworth, who reached out to me and had actually brought this to my attention. He had heard from President Sister Vriens' granddaughter, one of the many, that he was on hospice care and could potentially pass at any time. And so I needed to hear it as close to them as possible. And we are so grateful for the connection that we made with Angie through the podcast. And she's been so unbelievably gracious to allow us to communicate to them through her. And ultimately, she's coordinated quite a few of us to be able to see the Vriens in recent years. So I'm really grateful for her. Obviously, when you hear that news, and for anyone who's listening that has dealt with friends or loved ones, when they go on hospice care, it's kind of one of the last nails in the coffin, unfortunately. I mean, it's a telling situation that makes you realize that their time is fairly short. And so when I heard that, I immediately said to Jack, we need to have a quick conversation on the podcast just to make people realize that, as Jack mentioned, we've been away from Scotland now for some of us 20, 21, 22 years, 19 years that served amongst President and Sister Vriens, and they mean a lot to us. So this is a good reminder for all of us as we go into this last quarter of 2025 to see what we can do to try and reach out to them and share our love to them. The immediate thought that came to mind, and I think it's something that I had actually invited us to do back a while back. I actually was looking at when I met with them last. It was in June of 2024, so about 15 months ago. And at that point in time, I believe we said on the podcast that it would be advantageous for as many of us as possible to just send them a note. But I think it would be even better for us to one-up that. And I know a lot of us have photographs of ourselves as missionaries, but I think for the sake of their memories, leaning back to that time, it would be in our best interest to try and send a photo of ourselves when we served there, so that they can remember our faces as they were at that point in our lives, and then send a photo of our current circumstances, ourselves, our family, however, and just write them a note sharing their love and the impact that they've had on our lives as a way of helping them to remember those fond moments and the impacts that each had through our mission experience in Scotland. And then beyond that, just being able to lift their spirits in a time that I'm sure is very difficult, not only for each of them, but also for their family. So that's my invitation. I'll put the notes of the podcast, the address for the Vriens. I don't have to share it here on the actual podcast, I suppose. Jack, you can tell me if I'm wrong in that, but if you'll look at the notes of the podcast and our YouTube channel, we'll have the address there that you could send them a little something. And again, it doesn't have to be major, it's just simple. I know locally here, you could go to Walgreens and print a picture. I know we don't do that anymore, or haven't done it in a long time. Most of our photo albums are in our pocket nowadays, which is pretty wild. But I'm sure that would make a huge impact for them and also for their family in sharing some memories as they're getting on. So, Jack, just tell us again your experiences and some of your favorite memories of the Vriens. I know that we've shared many on the podcast, but any come to mind immediately?
Yeah, so I've been thinking about this as we've heard this news a little bit, and I think my favorite or fondest memories are the personal interactions we had, just those giant hugs from President Vriens with a slap on the back and "you're the best," like the positivity that they exuded all the time was just remarkable. It was a great example to me of a true Christlike leadership. And when I look back, when I remember the Vriens, and to me in their prime, when they were in their 70s as mission presidents, that's what I'm gonna be thinking of, is just that enveloping hug. I mean, I'm a big guy, you're a big guy, Zach, but President Vriens is a big guy and he gets big hugs, and I just love it.
Yeah, I can agree. I think one of the things that I always reflected on, not only his height, but his hands were humongous, and like you said, even with a simple handshake, he'd pull you in and then he'd give you a big squeeze. He'd slap you on the back, and, truly his immortal words are, "You're the best, elder." And it was just a nice reminder once in a while despite, I'm sure, some of our seasonal depression moments in Scotland, that he was keeping us upright and moving in the right direction at that point in time. And it's a good memory. I mean, he always had kind words, but he was very, very forthright in telling us where we could be better. And those are some of my favorite moments, were realizing where I may have been cutting corners or falling short, and being able to account on myself and improve. So, but beyond that, he always just had that big smile. He and Sister Vriens just exuded love in every facet. They loved us. They love us now, and are so grateful that we were counted as the special elders and sisters that served amongst them in Scotland, which is wonderful.
This also just helps us to remember, like, a big reason of why Zach and I do this, of course, is to have the connection with everybody, to reach back, but it's also a record of the experiences we've had there, that it's able to be shared. I know the Vrienses have listened to the podcasts and watched these things, and as well as all of us who've watched and listened. And if you've been hesitant about coming on, maybe this is a good reminder that that's why we're here. We want to record your experience, whatever you want to share, and we'd love to have you on. It doesn't matter where you're at really in life right now. We all came through that experience and through that country, and because of that shared background, we love you, and we want you to know that you're our brothers and sisters. So please, reach out to us here. It's S.E.M podcast at 51spylaw.com. And you can visit the website as well, fill out a contact form there. That's probably actually the easiest way, just to go there and do that. But however you want to get a hold of Zach, myself, just reach out.
Jack and I are both on LinkedIn. Our phone numbers are public on there if we're friends. So, like, maybe we could just be friends, and you could send us a text. I mean, it's pretty simple. We know that there's quite a few of our friends from Scotland who we've connected with in the past that have said that the season of life wasn't quite right. And Jack and I have obviously given some time for people to come around, but you never know. The time may be right. And if you can squeeze in 45 minutes, an hour and 15 to come and hang out with us for a little bit and reminisce, I'm sure that it'll be time well spent. Absolutely true.
Yep. All right. Well, with that, we want to just say again that we love you all. Thank you for supporting us in this effort, and for being a part of Scotland and the S.E.M.
Amen to that. Cheerio then. Talk to you soon.